What's up, sons? It's Blind Ride with Son of a Tech once again. Apologies for the camera being broken today. We're just going to be covering how to install Rainbow Miner, a profit switching application on your Hive OS rig. So let's get into it. Welcome back, everyone. So once you get into your Hive OS portal, you'll want to select the rig that you plan on installing Rainbow Miner on. And if you are remotely accessing it, you can start a Hive shell. I recommend doing this on a local network connected to your mining rig. That way it's a little bit easier. And before we get started, we are going to be utilizing different miner. So we want to go to our flight sheet, click the little ellipses and click unset. At this point, that'll remove that particular flight sheet and stop mining on your Hive OS rig. And then we can get started with installing Rainbow Miner. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is go ahead and click the connect via web shell, and it will open up a shell. If you want to access your particular password for your user, you can find that under the settings button, and then under the password, you can click the view and just copy this out. Once you've done that, you can go back to your shell, enter in user for the username, paste your password in by right-clicking and saying paste and pressing enter. So that's pretty easy. The next step is that we're going to want to clone the Rainbow Miner repository. The links will be down in the description, as well as a link to my article with the step-by-step guide on my locals page at sonofatech.locals.com. Once we have pasted that command in, we will press enter and it will clone that repository. Once the repository is cloned, we are going to change directory into our Rainbow Miner directory. You can always autocomplete if you have typed in enough letters in Linux by pressing the tab button, and you can see it found the repository there, or the directory there that we're trying to move to, and press enter, and now we are in there. If we run an ls command, you'll notice that all of the .sh files here are still white. We need those to be yellow because yellow will indicate that we are allowed to execute those particular scripts. To do that, all we are going to do is run a chmod command with the +X option to make it executable. This will make it executable for your current user that you were logged in with. You can add U if you would like to add all users, etc. And so you can copy this command out, paste it in, and press enter. Now, if we run an ls command, you can see that our sh scripts are yellow. We just did a wildcard here to say make all scripts executable, essentially. So from here, we're going to install it. We can just do a // and we can copy this if we like, and then just paste it, and it'll be the install.sh and press enter. Okay, so now that is done, you can see here that it gives us the suggestion to run start.sh, but because we want this to continue to run in the background, there is another script that I highly recommend. Let me clear this out so you can see a little bit better. And what we want to actually run is the start-screen.sh, and this will start a screen and start Rainbow Miner in a screen, essentially. So we're going to press enter, and what you can do is run a screen-list, and you'll see here that we have a screen named Rainbow Miner now. All we have to do to attach to that and continue to run is do the screen-r space Rainbow Miner. Remember, you can always tab to autocomplete as long as you have the first few letters. At this point, we'll press enter and we are attached to the screen. And you can see here that it has started the script or basically a basic setup script here that you can just follow along, and it will ask you all the questions, making it pretty simple. The first question is to enter your worker's name. You can leave it default if it is pulling it correctly. It did pull the DNS name of 5704, so I'm going to press enter. And then we can select the operation mode. There are 3 different operation modes available. You have standard standalone, server, and client. If you are doing this across an entire farm, I highly recommend doing a server client setup to reduce bandwidth. This essentially means that you will install your first server or your first miner as a server. It can be mined on as a server as well, and then install all the rest as a client. The details are on sonofatech.locals for that one, but today we're just going to be covering the standalone option. So we'll leave it as default and say standalone. It will ask you if you want to change your API port. If you are currently already utilizing port 4000 on your mining rig, you may want to change this. Otherwise, leave it default. And then it will ask you if you want to password protect your API. I highly recommend this because you can make changes via the API. So I will say yes. And at this point, it will ask for a username. I'll just go ahead and use the username sonofatech and press enter. And then it will ask for a password. We're going to do see you next Tuesday, but make sure you just randomly generate or use a more difficult password there and press enter. Now it will ask you pretty much parallel API threads. I'm going to do automatic. I'll leave the rest of most of these as default for this particular guide. You can go over them and see which ones you want to change if there is anything you want to change and go through that process. Now, at this point, it's going to ask for your Bitcoin wallet address. You can add additional addresses for altcoins, but today we're just going to be covering the Bitcoin auto conversion options, which will utilize NiceHash, Mining Pool Hub, as well as Zerg Pool and Z Pool exclusively so that it auto converts all of your mined crypto coins or altcoins, shit coins in this case, into Bitcoin and then deposits it to your Bitcoin address. For this one in particular, what I like to utilize is just a hardware wallet, for example. And so I will go ahead and get that information and paste it in and have my Bitcoin address there and press enter. So the next thing is to configure your NiceHash wallet. You can go ahead and create a NiceHash account. And then what you will need to do is go into your wallet details and then click the deposit option, show Bitcoin address, and copy out your Bitcoin address. You can then go back and paste that in and then press enter. The next thing it's going to ask for is your organization ID. To get all of this information, you're going to need to go back to NiceHash, close out of your wallet, and then click your little icon in the top right. We'll have a little black bar at the bottom there, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and click this and then click the My Settings option. On the left, you'll see an option for API keys. You will click the API keys and then you will click create a new API. You can see I already have one down here named Rainbow Miner, but we're just going to make one called Tutorial. We're going to allow all of the permissions, and then we are going to lock down the allowed IP address to our mining IP address. You can obtain this on your farm under the Overview tab, and you will see here the Remote IP option. You can click the little copy button next to that, go back to your NiceHash and paste that into this allowed IP addresses option, and that will lock down this API to your public IP of your miners, just adding an additional layer of security. You can also change your withdrawal limit if you like, and that can add a little bit more security so you don't lose as much money if something is compromised. Once you've done that, you can click generate a API key, and hopefully you have two-factor authentication enabled on your NiceHash. I highly recommend it, and you'll have to type in your two-factor authentication code and click verify, and it will give you a list of all of the options that you need for this API code. And what I recommend is just opening a new, basically a new folder or whatever, or a new file, notepad, and copying your key code, secret code, and organization ID. And all of these you will need to basically put into a safe spot where maybe you save the rest of your keys. An encrypted USB drive is a good option, that sort of thing. Wherever you're keeping your crypto keys, your digital ones, that would probably be a good place for them. Of course, you could write it down by hand to be extra paranoid safe, and just make sure that you save it in a safe spot that is encrypted so nobody else can gain access to your NiceHash account. So you'll copy your organization ID, and that's the first one that it will require. You'll paste that in and press enter. Then it will ask for your API key, which will be this API secret code key right here. And you'll copy that one out, or your API key code. And then it will ask for your secret code key, which will be this one right here. You will copy that one out and paste it in, and then press enter. And now it will ask if you want to add or edit wallet addresses for non-Bitcoin currencies. This particular guide, I'm not going to cover that in, but you can do that if there's like a specific altcoin that you want to hold some of. For example, Dynex or Radiant, etc. I'm going to say no, and then it's going to ask for my Mining Pool Hub username. And to get that, you can create an account on Mining Pool Hub, and then once you have, you can click the Edit Account button. You will get your username in the top and paste that in, and then press enter. It will then ask for your user ID, which you can go ahead and copy and then come over and paste in and press enter. And they will ask for your API key, which is also listed under your account. So you will highlight, you can just, and then for some reason not let me copy. There we go. Right click and copy and paste that in and press enter. And then it will ask for your mining rig rentals information. Now, in this particular case, mining rig rentals is not activating or working properly with GPU miners now, so it won't be utilized anyways. You can go ahead and skip this. But if you did want to add this in the future, I did write it into the guide at sonofatech.locals.com in case that gets activated again later. The next thing that they will ask you for is the region that you want to utilize. We're utilizing US here. And then the currencies to be displayed, we're just going to leave as Bitcoin and USD. If you add a custom wallet, of course, you can add that specific ticker in there to help track that. And then it will ask for your benchmark accuracy. Now, Quick is going to get you pretty dang close. The only exception for this would be if you are mining on CPUs, in which case I would recommend doing normal at the very least, or precise. The default will be Quick. For GPUs, it seems to be accurate enough, so we're going to go ahead and leave it as Quick. There is enable Fastlane benchmark and download live values for hash rate and power draw. Very inaccurate, so at this point I've left this at default. I have not tested that out. It will ask if you want to enable central monitoring, and I do say yes for this, and you can actually go to rbminer.net and type in your monitoring key to basically monitor your rigs. I'll show you that. And what you will do is go over here to their main website, and you can type in your key and press view workers. I think I only have one going right now. The rest are offline. You can see here, it's got my 1660 supers here, and I can monitor this from anywhere without being connected to my network and kind of see what's going on with it, see what the speed's at, see kind of what the hash rate is and what it's mining and what the total profit is, all of that sort of thing, right? So this also will be dependent on you setting your power rates correct and all of that sort of thing. So make sure you keep that in mind and you are good to go. So that's kind of the way to monitor it. Now, what I recommend doing is once you have generated a monitoring key, you want to basically copy that and paste that into this miner monitoring status key. But for your first rig, you'll just press enter to create a new one. And so once you've created this new one here, you'll take this and copy it, put it in the same file as your configurations for like your API key codes and all of that. Basically, like I have an RB miner configuration text file that I just have everything listed in. And at that point, you can copy that out and paste it into the previous miner status key on the rest of your rigs. And then it will pop open like this, where you'll have multiple rigs showing right there. Pretty slick stuff. Now, you can also add a offline notification email if you like. and it will send you an email if your rig crashes, etc. So we're going to press enter there. You can utilize pushover.net, but I have not configured this. Let me know if you configure it and how it functions for you. You can then enter your max GPU temperature. The absolute max you're allowed to enter is 100. The rest will be, anything above that will be declined. 90 is the default. You can leave it at default, and that seems to be a pretty good sweet spot. Max crashes per hour allowed before a notification will trigger, of course, and that trigger will be emailed to the email you entered above. And the amount of disk space, in case you're running low on disk space, you can basically add this in so that you get notified so that your rig doesn't end up shutting down from running out of disk space. And then you can enable automatic updates, which I recommend. It will grab the new miners as they come out and re-benchmark, etc. It will ask if you want to add the new algorithms to the config, and I leave that as yes. And then if you want to automatically start benchmarks for the updated miners, and I leave that as yes as well. And then you can do the auto benchmark algos and all of that, leave that as default. And then you can adjust some of the profit profiles, etc. And then it will ask you what pools you want to mine to. The default is Mining Pool Hub Coins, NiceHash, Zerg Pool, and Z Pool. For the most part, you will be bouncing between Zerg Pool and Z Pool from my experience, as they seem to have the most profitable options and the easiest auto convert. If you're going to be mining coins directly and you configured that earlier with a more complicated setup, then you can add those specific pools for whichever coins you were deciding to go ahead and mine directly and keep a hold of. It'll ask if you want to skip the miner and algorithm setup. I say yes in this particular case. Once again, there's a lot of customization that you can do here. And they'll ask if you want to mine on all your AMD GPUs if you have AMD GPUs installed, or all NVIDIA GPUs if you have all NVIDIA GPUs. Of course, we're going to say yes. And then if you have a CPU you want to mine on, you will need to change the default from no to yes. In this particular case, we're on an Octo miner with a low-end CPU, so we're going to leave it as no. At this point, it will ask if you want to save the changes. The default is yes, so we can press enter, and at this point, it will put us into the Rainbow Miner configuration tool thing here. It's not started yet. What you'll notice is that it says exit configuration and start mining. Default is X. So you actually have to press enter one more time. And at this point, what it is going to do is go through the process of downloading all of the miners. And this will take a significant amount of time. After it has downloaded all of the miners and loaded all of the pools and all of the information, it will then begin to benchmark. And that benchmarking process can take quite some time. So you will have to sit and wait for that benchmarking to go through. The other downside here is it appears to only benchmark one of each type of GPU, which, yes, you are earning cryptocurrency while it is benchmarking, but in the case here where we have all 5700 XTs, it doesn't appear to really benchmark each individual GPU, and so that can take some time. So just keep all of that in mind. It will have this nice little option here. It'll show how much, you have sitting in NiceHash, for example. It'll show how much you have sitting in your pools. You can see here for Zerg Pool, Z Pool, it'll total the pools out. Then it'll show, your wallet balance for your particular hardware wallet that we added in earlier, and then total that out for you right here. You can also see that in the API. To navigate to the API, you can copy the address here and go and paste that in, and then type in :4000. It will enter this option for you to put in your username and password that we created in the beginning. You can press enter. I might have to type this in right. Oh, there we go. We'll go ahead and save that. And you can see here, it's got a nice little API here with all of your stuff listed. It'll kind of show you what it's testing right now. You can click console to see it running. It'll show you all the results of your benchmarks. This is basically the benchmark file. You can see it's benchmarking all of these, and that is pretty much it. It'll give you, the whole console here. The other big thing that you want to do is go down to your setup, and you will want to scroll down to your electricity cost and set your power price for whatever your power price is. Mine is like 10.4 at the farm, so I would just enter in 10 cents there essentially and click the submit button, and this will stop it from mining in the case that it's not profitable, and it will get your total profits and earnings more accurate here at the top. Now, a final configuration that I would like to cover is we'll do Control AD, and we want to set this to mine on restart. So to do this, what we're going to do is edit our rc.local, and it'll be sudo nano /etc/rc.local. Press enter, and then we will want to, let me get my keyboard with something that I can go down on real quick. So she said we're going to go down here, and at the end of the file, all we're going to do is paste in the home/user/rainbow miner/start.screen or start-screen.sh and press Control X and yes to save. And what that will do is if the miner reboots, it will start Rainbow Miner up automatically on reboot, and that is pretty fantastic. So all of that is configured now, and you are good to go. You know how to get to all of the monitoring. Let it sit, let it run, let it get all of the benchmarks done, and then from there you can modify further. Lots of different options in the API to change. If you are in an area where you get kickbacks for turning down your power at any given time, you can go into the setup and you can go to your electricity cost handling and set up all of that. I believe you got the power price and check profitability that you can enable, right? To make sure it's only mining for that. And I believe as well, yeah, so this is the tariff code that you can enter, and that'll check with your local tariff codes and all that, your region codes, to basically adjust for any sort of benefits you get for turning down in Europe or the UK, for example. And there you go. So thanks everybody for watching today. I hope that you learned something and this comes in beneficial for you. Don't forget to hit the like, comment, subscribe, and notification bell down below. Don't forget to check out sonofatech.locals.com for written guides and articles. You can become a supporter over there for early access to all of this type of thing. And you can get a free month of Locals with the purchase of a crypto mining e-course at sonofatech.com. Thanks for watching. I will see you next Tuesday.